when we look at the waiver wire, we're not just looking at the recent breakout players. We're also looking at the trends. Maybe some of these players can break out down the line. Maybe if a game script blows open, they can provide some fantasy points. Maybe they got some upside to gamble with, and maybe you want to gamble on a player who is trending with some good workload, who might help you out in a pinch somewhere down the line. And by looking at these trends, this is going to help you make these decisions from week to week. Sometimes looking at trends this week may not help you now, but it may help you in week 6. It may help you in week 7. It may help you set a DFS lineup. It may help you with your DraftKings lineup when you're trying to win that big tournament and you need a dirt cheap player who has the opportunity to go off while you're stacking the rest of your offense. And today we're going to be looking at KJ Osborn, wide receiver of the Minnesota Vikings. We got the Thursday night game with the Eagles tonight. So a lot of people are going to be looking at him when they're setting DFS lineups for DraftKings, when they're looking for an option off the waiver wire for the lineups, if they're getting hit by injuries or if they want to make a gamble. But we're going over the information today so you can make your decision whether you need him or not. You need to hit that subscribe button, though. That's what you need to do, because we're doing these deep dives every day on these players, giving you the information on the advanced metrics. Sometimes we'll cover the same player week after week after week as things change with their workload, the team dynamic, and you guys keep looking up these players, keep searching for them, keep asking questions. So I'm going to try and give you guys the answers by giving you the data so you can make the best decision for yourself. So hit that subscribe button, stop missing out, and let's start looking at KJ Osborn right here. So he scored 6 fantasy points last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's something you should not be excited about, but he also was heavily targeted with 6 targets, caught 3 balls for 31 yards. And as you look here with the schedule here in the next recent games, you got Philly tonight, then the Chargers, then Carolina, then Kansas City. So some optimal game scripts coming up. Could be a sleeper on your waiver wire. He could have a moment tonight, and he might be the next get option. And the reason why we're saying this is because we look back at Sunday's game. He ran 44 routes, had a 93% route participation rate. That's in the spreadsheet down below. He ran more routes than Jordan Addison. He also ran 46% of his routes and his snaps in the slots. So he is being used a lot in this offense. He's getting some opportunity. He also saw 6 targets, 13.6% target share. Same as Jordan Addison, had 59 air yards. Wish those were a little bit deeper considering he got 6 targets. However, he's running from the slots. He's getting some opportunity, and this is one of the fastest-paced offenses in the league. We saw that last year. They finished 7th in pace last year, and last year this offense averaged about 40 pass attempts a game. They had a lot of pass attempts last week. Looks like that's going to continue to trend that way this year, which is something you want out of these wide receivers. But KJ Osborn's over here sitting on the waiver wire, who's in a fast-paced offense, who is allowing him to see a lot of workload, a lot of opportunity here. 44 routes is a lot of routes to be ran in an offense, so eventually some targets are going to go his way. And then looking at this, he's got some good measurables here. 6 foot, 203, good athletic specs here, 4.48 40-yard dash, good speed score, good burst score. Everything's looking good, so when he's on the field, he does have some opportunity. And then looking at tonight's matchup, we got a 49 over-under. The spread seems kind of optimal for the Eagles, kind of optimal for the Vikings for fantasy football if they're going to be playing from behind. That's what Vegas is trying to say here. So that's something you want to look at. Both teams were in wonky game scripts last week as the Bucs beat the Vikings. We know when the Vikings are behind, though, they want to throw the ball because that's what they're really good at. So that's going to be happening if we're going to get what we see in the spread. And Vegas is saying this is going to be a high-scoring game because we're pushing a 50 over-under, and usually the start of the season, the unders hit. So we're at a 49 over-under right now. They're expecting this to be a high-scoring game for a Thursday night game, too. Game scripts on Thursday nights can break one way or the other. This could be an ugly, slow-paced game just because it's Thursday night and they don't have as much time to prepare for it. Or it could break wide open and this be a high, fast-paced game. One team gets up quick. Next thing you know, it's a track meet. So you need to watch that. That's why this kind of makes this game kind of a gamble with a lot of these players. And you need him because you want to gamble on the game script. You want to gamble on him down the line because he's got some game scripts in front of him too where he could pop off. He's running routes. He's getting opportunity. You never know what's going to happen with that because we got one of the fastest paced offenses right here in the league. So that creates a lot of opportunity with it in itself. And now we got game scripts coming up here in the near future along with tonight that could allow this fast-paced offense just to ignite a little bit more, give him more opportunities. And then you need him if you need a cheap gamble for DraftKings, FanDuel, player props, because the upside's grand and the price is dirt cheap, and that could allow you to put them in your lineup and then stack the rest of your lineup if that's something you want to look at. And we're not talking about just today. We're talking about next week, the week after that, because he's getting a lot of opportunity. All this could change because we're looking at a trend from 1 week. Once we get trends from like 2, 3, 4 games, things are going to start being a little bit more sticky, but he is an incumbent wide receiver. He's been in this offense for a bit, so he's going to start off seeing some routes, getting opportunity as they work in Jordan Addison, and still, as things drop off in the middle of the year, later in the year, he will still see some opportunity because they want to push the pace, have 3 wide receivers out there, and really throw the football. And you don't need him because you don't want to gamble. You don't want to gamble because he is a gamble. That is my take. He's a gamble, and he's a cheap bet. He's a cheap guy to throw in there to see what happens. You put him in your lineup. You close your eyes. You see if the game script hits because he gets opportunity. My take is wide receivers who run a lot of routes, who are seeing some targets, who are in good offenses, when they're in good game scripts, and you need a cheap player to gamble on. You need something to throw up against the wall. Those are the guys you want to bet on. Those are guys you want to take chances on. He's a chance. There's no take here saying he's going to hit or not hit. He is a chance to take, and he's got some opportunities here that could show you whether or not this could happen. But again, gambles. Big gamble. Big gamble. Boom, bust. Who knows? You might get 6, 7 points a game going forward, and then you never know when that pop-off game's going to happen. But if you're creating DFS lineups, DraftKings, FanDuel, and you want a cheap bet to stack the rest of your roster with higher priced players, guys like this is what you want to look at and just hope that player hits. And then also, anytime he can hit on one of those game scripts. If you're running 90% of the routes or more, getting some targets, being thrown in the slot, there's going to be some opportunity. Of course, Justin Jefferson's going to get the targets. Of course, that's going to happen. Jordan Addison is very good, and he's going to get more targets throughout the year. But still, if you're getting opportunity in an offense like this, who's moving the ball, who's fast-paced, you're going to want to look at them when the game scripts are optimized. Look at the over-unders. If they're higher, around 49, 50, 55, you're going to want that player in some of these situations where you got to gamble in your flex spot or in your wide receiver spot or whatever you got to do. Same with the running backs as well. Because if the game's projected to score a lot of points, that means there's players in that game who have to score some fantasy points for those teams to score points. Think about that logically. This is more about process than the player because you can really insert any other player seeing similar workload into this situation here as gambles. But my take is KJ Osborn, gamble. Play him if you want, but realize downside's huge, upside's huge, and if you need someone to bet on and you need a cheap gamble, he might be a guy to look at, but still, he's a gamble. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Catch you on the next video.